we've had quite a day. I did 2 lives on Facebook today because the first one was a hot mess with the microphone. And if you guys see a problem, please let me know because I get working and I don't constantly check my little lights to tell me that my microphones are cooperating. So if you're new to me, thank you for watching. I'm an artist, I guess. I'm always creating, and I love to do show and tells. Like I want to show you all how to do it. And if you're so inclined, we sell the Dixie Belle products, so you can do these things at home. So I'm gonna kind of talk off the grid for a hot second here, and maybe some people will jump on. I didn't do an announcement because on YouTube, I can't figure it out. Instagram, I'm not going to do a post on Instagram to say, hey, I'm going live, because they don't really have that very friendly for that on Instagram. So I just pop up on Instagram, and the last time I tried to do an advance notice on YouTube, it was a hot mess. It was just kept saying, Linda's going live in a minute, Linda's going live in a minute, Linda's going live in a minute, it just, so. Until I have the time to figure that out, we're just going to pop on. All right, so, I hope you're doing well, whoever's watching. I have we've been entertaining Mamacita, my mother-in-law, and so it's been hard to kind of get down here and get some quality time. And then yesterday I did my big cooking event. We did golubki in Polish, holubcha in Russian, holubche in Ukrainian, and I know I'm saying that totally wrong, but just go with it. Just give me the thumbs up that it sounded great, right? My grandparents, well, my grandmothers all knew their native languages because their parents didn't speak a bit of English really. But by the time I came along, like they didn't remember anything. And by the time I was interested, it was all gone. They couldn't read it anymore or anything. So, but we had a big Polish Ukrainian meal last night. And my husband and son have been begging for me to do it. So yesterday was all about cooking. And so we're finally getting back to the groove. And I got caught up on my how-to videos. So if you like my kind of crazy and you want a bunch of quick little tips, go to my booth playlist on my YouTube account. And then Instagram, just go back in my profile. And you'll see like quick 1-minute videos of the how-tos, like how to clean, how to tack sand, how to prime, how to paint, how to, extra tips on painting, how to top coat, this, that, the other, right? So hopefully we've got it all covered. And any of my videos, you can ask in the comments, any questions, you can also reach out to me. If you want to buy any of our Dixie Belle products, it's seaporium.square.site now. It's no longer seaporium.com. Not unless people are going to start buying online. And that said, if you do check, it's only I don't have a ton listed an inventory on our online store. I have some things that I think are more essential. Maybe I have back stock in. But anything that's listed, I should have in my booth. And so if it's something you're in need of and you want to place an order, just let me know what it is you're looking for, and I can go to the booth and grab it if it's available, and then send you the invoice for everything that we do have and ship it to you. It's a different world for me. I used to have a store, and it was all available to me, and I can't afford to have 2 inventories. We're just not that big. As much as I try, as you know, we're doing lots of videos. I'm trying to do all the things, but it's okay. It's okay. So we were doing a bunch of different things on our Facebook today. I got this dead pile. If you know me, you know the dead pile, what I'm talking about. It's those things that, like these. I started these some Christmas time ago, maybe 2 Christmases ago. Don't even remember. This obviously is going to be a lighthouse, okay? This obviously is going to be some sort of beach scene. I didn't get back to them. They've been sitting in some little bin forever. A ball jar. I've got shells I've been wanting to get. I got a pile of clothes. Maybe tomorrow we'll get to stamping them. I was thinking that today, but what got me going on paint today was I want to get a start on these shells because they make really super cute catch-alls. And this. Okay, so this piece is a big tray. We've used it lovingly in our house maybe 10 years. At some point I did paint over it, okay, and I sealed this with Varnish Plus. It's a Faux Effects product, and I know it's super durable. But we did get, over 10 years, some nicks and dings on the sides. And I want to just give another coat of gator hide now on the top of this, because all my Faux Effects things are so old, they've been thrown out. So in our Facebook video, which we won't go into, it was a hot mess. It was a hot mess. So we talked about how to tack, you know, if you watch the videos, I'm a big advocate for doing all the steps, even though, oops, Instagram paused for a minute there. We're kind of a far away from the internet, and the TV's on for my mother-in-law, and Joe's probably on his device, so I'm hoping we don't have too many problems. But if you see a problem, let me know. Anyways, so I'm a big advocate for all the parts of prep. I believe, and I'm not knocking anybody. I love everybody, but I believe this whole chalk paint thing that says, oh, all you got to do is clean it and paint it, doesn't matter. It's going to stick. I'm sorry. The paint is not meant to stick to glass. Not any paint. You have to have something special that wants to stick to this. There's just no two ways about that. All right? So for this piece, you've been seeing me do the videos, right? Super cute, right? Of course, someone didn't like it on YouTube. They said it went from tacky to tacky. I'm sorry, but they're loving it on Facebook. I didn't prep the inside, okay? If I had prepped the inside the way I did for the outside, which was clean it, I tack sanded it best I could, even though it's a glazed surface, wiped it down with my alcohol, and when that dried, I put my coat of slick stick on. You wait a couple hours, you can put another coat of slick stick on, and then after 24 hours, you can start painting and embellishing. So had I done that to all of it, all the inside too, as long as someone had the instructions to not scratch down to the glazed surface with something harsh, right? Technically, it should hold up because I did seal over everything after with our outdoor rated top coat, which I got at our local paint store. It's from Modern Masters. It's called Master Clear Supreme. It's a clear drying exterior rated product, so it should hold up to the water. But I didn't do that because this is something I see more just sitting on a shelf, maybe throw some fake, you know, what do you call the different little simple greens in here or something, right? That's how I saw it as. But after 30 days, that's going to be good to go. It'll be cured, and it can take the abuse it's going to take. Up until then, you got to be kind of ginger with any of your pieces, okay? Even though it's dry to the touch, this isn't going to be really solid until, you know, 30 days, okay? A lot of your paints, your water-based paints, count on 20 to 30 days. All right, so if you're doing a piece of furniture, don't be setting big, heavy something on there for umpteen days in a row. We're just sitting there soaking into the uncured paint and top coats. Don't go moving, scratching things around because it needs time to cure. You know, it is what it is, guys. You can't change the dynamics of painting. And I feel that the people who said, like with the chalk style paints, all you have to do is clean and paint it, I think that goes back to the shabby chic days. So, you know, if you're moving a piece of furniture and you got a nick on it, we literally would say, oh, shabby chic, right? because that would be part of the look. It didn't matter because you already left a lot of distress in it. And so if it didn't stick to everything, that was okay, because that was the look. And it's, you know, who would know? Because if you nicked it, you probably wouldn't even remember. And you say, oh, the paint lasted forever, right? Because that was the look. It was shabby chic. So if you want, like, if that's the look you're going for, go ahead. Go ahead. And I have done where it's just chalk paint, and I go ahead and I distress some of the lettering, and I let that show. And if it does take some nicks, I go with it. That's part of the look that I'm doing with these pieces. This piece I went ahead and painted primed the whole thing. This does have 2 coats of my slick stick. Now I'm saying slick stick, but if you go on our site, you won't find slick stick. We no longer have any available. I do have all the Boss in one size or another available in my booth, so I can get that to you. But what they've done now, which is available online, is our bonding Boss. So it's the slick stick, and then it's the blocking primer all in one. So B for Boss for blocking, S for slick for sticking. And it's all one now. Okay, so the Boss would be, if you had a cherry piece, a mahogany piece, something that's bleeding through, bare wood, and you got the knots bleeding through, right? That's when you want to block. Or you have odors. Sometimes those old pieces, they just don't smell very good. But a lot of times you gotta seal the whole thing, just so you know, if it's the odor issue. If you just seal one surface, the part that you're painting, the whole rest of it has been exposed to those odors, right? So you gotta clean and prime the whole thing inside and out, just like we were talking about for the picture. So, you know, you gotta think about these things. But the slick stick is meant to stick to these delicate surfaces. Paint is not meant to stick to glass or plastic or shells or metal or Formica, and that's why you have this special primer. All right, slick stick or bonding Boss. Paint one coat, wait a couple hours, paint your second coat, and then after 24 hours, you can do your thing. You can paint, embellish, and all that, all right? But that said, where are we going to start? I don't know where we're starting. I have these shells right in front of me, and I have one coat of the slick stick, and I'm not sure I really need a second coat, because so what I do for shells, these are just quahog shells, you guys. They're not fancy. They certainly are not pretty. But if you guys aren't familiar, and I wasn't familiar with this at all before, these are the shells. Of course, I've got them covered in primer, but you can see a little bit of the purple coming through. There's this beautiful pearly purple in the insides of them, and if you start buffing away at them, you can get a lot more of the purple out. This is wampum, okay? These shells were Indian money. I don't know how, if they did parts and whatever. And it's also the beautiful wampum jewelry, okay? But they're the ugliest shells on the beach, if you ask me. That's just, you know, the diamond in the rough. So when I get the shells, and a lot of times when we just do our oyster night, you know, I just save the shells and clean them. And what I do is, usually I soak them in bleach, maybe do a little scrub, depending on what I'm wearing. But certainly while I'm rinsing, I do a scrub. Let that, well, no, you don't have to really let it dry. Then I put it into a pot with water and a lot of salt, because the salt will act like a, Instagram is paused again. Hello, Instagram. The salt will be very abrasive and help clean. And the boiling water just helps to help work off any of the live things that could be left, and also, you know, clean. And then at the end, I like to throw in vinegar. I don't always remember that. All right, the last 5-10 minutes. And then you let them dry. So now we have shells with no odor. We don't have to worry about that. And we're not going to have anything growing on them because we took care of that. And since they went through all that, these shells are no longer really shiny on the inside. So I think my one coat of Slick Stick's good. But we do need to add one more coat to this cap that goes with this jar, which I'm not going to add to it until we got our 30-day cure. And I'm not even sure what I'm doing with this. But it's here and it was in my face, so we got it ready. It might go to my dead pile and we might see it next year. Who knows? You know, if we're going to be honest. So, you know, if I put it in my booth, I'll leave it like that, kind of a thing. And I put in my thing painted with Dixie Belle, and I put a date, you know, let cure till, okay. And that's that, you know, like, there is no around that, okay? You got to let your paint cure. Don't put heavy lamps on your furniture. Don't do those things. All right, so we have a brush. And now, you know I'm an advocate for putting my paints into, hold on, we're going to move this down a little bit. Okay, I'm a big advocate for, what was I saying? Oh, putting my paints into a separate container so we're not contaminating this. But once again, I failed to bring a little container. But we're only doing this little cap. So I'm going to assume that I can manage to not get any debris into my container after, okay? That's why we do what we do, okay? So I'm just putting my second coat on. It's been a good couple of hours. And you just want to get it on. And then there is no grain, but if there was a grain, you'd want to go in the direction of the grain. I'm just making sure we're getting all the surface that we can. Okay, and then what can I put this on? Here, we'll put it on the back of this little shell. That's another dead pile item I got to get to. Okay. If you have any questions, do not be afraid to ask. So I carry the Dixie Belle chalk mineral paints, their ancillaries, the stains, the waxes, the top coats, silk mineral paint, but not the Terra clay paint. As much as I do love a rustic look, I am not a fan of not having the ability, if that was my soul paint, not having the ability to, I'm going to have to get some press and seal for this. Oh, I have it right here. Oh, no, that's the cling wrap. I was bringing down a press and seal, but I don't know what I did with it. You know, you try to keep these clean. I'm always wiping the edges. Of course, I didn't get any on my edge this time, but, and then if you have to, you know, clean the inside of your lid, rinse it out, you know, dry it a little bit. But, you know, stuff happens and the lid gets dirty, and the best thing I found, you know, you can say the plastic wrap, but press and seal makes every bit of difference. You just put a little square of it and then put on your lid, and it'll make your life so much easier. Then when I'm going ready to clean, right, for now I'm just going to stick it into my little pool of water here. But when I get into the sink later, this, you guys, if you don't use scrubby soap yet, oh my God, you don't know what you're missing. You really don't know what you're missing. Hey, Mariah, hello, sweetheart. How are you? Mariah is watching on Instagram. This scrubby soap is my go-to for cleaning my brushes. I'm not going to do it now because we're just going to get paint all over it. But see, it has this scrubby built right in. And the soap itself is it's a glycerin soap, and it has citrus oil, so in this case, lemon. It has aloe as well. So yes, it's a harsh cleaner because of the citrus oil, but you got the aloe that kind of combats that, and it's all natural. And the scrubby that's built in, after I do a rinse, I really just scrub, work my bristles through there really well, maybe take my, my brush comb, my paintbrush cleaner comb, you know, with the little metal prongs, and work it through. You get the paint all over your hands, it is the bomb, okay? And they also make the all-natural soaps that have the built-in scrubby. So if I didn't have all kinds of leftover soaps from my store, at some point we're going to be getting these for Joe because he just loves not using like a washcloth, okay? He just loves just using the soap, and it's even better with the scrubby, and they make it in olive oil soap, so it's just vegetable oil. You can get it in non-scented and in lavender. And now they're going to have, and I haven't ordered any yet, is going to be like a tropical scent. I forget the name of it, but I just posted it so you can look on our social media on Facebook and Instagram. I can't wait to try that. And then they also have it in goat's milk, okay? The lavender, the unscented, and then that new tropical scent. So that is the bomb. Hello, DMP. It's Christy, I believe, right? How are you? And let's see. So we don't know what we're doing with this. We can't touch these now till at least tomorrow night. For now, let's get back to this. I am going to get a container, actually, because I'm going to have to mix some more paint. So in my other videos, which was a hot mess, we had one with audio just went to hell, so I just deleted the whole live after on Facebook, and then we went back to it. And I went to use my second coat, but I didn't have it in a container. I had it, let me see, we still have volume, okay. We had it in a pallet, on just a plate. And so I had to use it up, but I didn't save it because I used it up and I didn't cover very well. So we're going to make some more of that. Give me a hot second, ladies. Just working over way to my new washroom. And, haha. Well, we might as well grab another one because, you know, I'm always forgetting to bring them over there, so at least I'll have a couple extras. So Mariah, I hope that the person that was interested in your towels, I hope that worked out for you. So I just save Tupperware we're not using anymore, or like when you get the to-go boxes from the restaurants, we save those, and I use them as much as I can, and when they get too bad, then I throw them out. But at least they've been used several more times than they normally would have been. Or, you know, the leftover sour cream containers, or, you know, save them. So we're going to make this color again, and we're going to try and get it close. So don't ask me about this color. This is a color we used to carry. The paint company is no longer in business, so I can't get it anymore. Don't ask me what it is. But I hate to waste, right, Mariah? Waste is no good. So we're going to kind of make enough for one coat, hopefully. It's a nice little beachy green, more green than it is blue, and it's called Beach Cottage Teal. Okay. And since it's also a chalk mineral paint, it's basically the same ingredients as my Dixie Belle. So we're going to go ahead and mix it with the Dixie Belle. And I find this has never been a problem. And if you're mixing like silk, if you're just using like a little bit of some other color, like an acrylic, as long as it's another water base. If you're just using just a small amount to kind of change the color, you can always do that, okay? But you don't want to do it in high amounts. But these chalk style paints, I find that they're pretty interchangeable, even with the clay paints. But just remember, if you're adding a lot of clay paint to your chalk style paint, your chalk mineral paint, then you're also probably not going to have the seal that the chalk mineral paint gives you. So you will want to make sure you seal it to make sure it's protected. All right, so we're going to seal that. This does have the press and seal, and I've used this I don't know how many times, okay? And see how I'm always able to open and close this. It's awesome. My girl that painted, Maura, she's the one that insists you got to use the press and seal. All right, so even if this isn't the exact green, whenever, like if I'm doing a custom piece for somebody, I'm always writing down on my end, at least, what I use to make a color. And then I take a swatch of the color and I put it on my invoice. So if they come to me later and say, I want another piece, you know, done in that same color, I might not get, like, if you were to put it in a microscope next to each other, if I know the colors in roughly, like, I put it in order too. So if I used, I think this probably had a slightly more of the beach cottage teal than it did the fluff. I put beach cottage teal first, then I put the fluff. And if there was any other color that was less, I would put them in like order so that I know in a general, or if it's just like a drop, like I say, a lot of times if you're trying to get to that weird color and you can't get to it, you get to one side of the spectrum a hair too much and you get to the other side of the spectrum hair too much and you just can't get the color to match. You add a drop, basically, of the opposite color of the spectrum to it, and it'll 99% of the time bring you to the color you're looking for. Okay. All right, so I think this is actually going to be a little lighter than we had, but it's going to be okay. And then we can go ahead and talk about using tape. I don't like to use tape. It's wasteful when you don't need to. But let's just do it. I did it in my other video, the one that I end up having to throw out. So you guys get the benefit of seeing that again. Because I didn't redo it in Facebook because this was wet for the second video. And like I said, I'm doing this again because in my rush, it really wasn't coated all the way. And I want to make sure that I'm really buttoning this right up to that edge. Because wherever, if I overlap onto that green, we'll see this, my new green. And if I leave a gap, we'll see onto the base part. If I don't come over enough, we'll have white showing through, right? So we don't want that either. And a little trick, especially if you're working on you're painting off, you're trimming off like around the in your house, and if you are using tape, when you're trimming, you want those at an angle, right? What did I do with my putty knife? Here's one. Take your putty knife into your corner, point right into the corner, put pressure right into that corner, and then pull your tape. And it goes right in there. Then take your nail and burnish that right at the edge. Don't burnish everything, especially if you're working with pretty fresh paint. Now, this isn't something you'd want to do to paint that's only been on there an hour. You'd want to give this some time to set up a little bit. Okay. Now, the chalk style paints do, at least the chalk mineral paint by Dixie Belle, it does seal. So you can work with it with like a wet sanding sponge for a little while and kind of reactivate it. But after, I'd say a good 20, maybe overnight, you're going to find that it doesn't activate anymore. So it does seal. But the thing is, I still like to protect it because we're working with furniture, not walls. All right. Burnish it just at the edge. Use a popsicle stick if you have to, okay? And then we'll leave one side where we don't, and I'll show you what I do if we get it on the surface. Okay, put it right up to the edge. sometimes your edge isn't very straight, so you got to like really work the paint back and forth along that edge. Sometimes it's so drastic, it's just easier to stop your tape and put a whole new piece down. Okay, and burnish. Wait, this could go in more. Okay. Easy, right? And then let's get a good brush. Where's a good brush for this? I used a wider one last time. I'm just dipping into my water and we'll get the paint. This is really kind of a shitty one, but it's a good size for this, and I can get it a little more delicate. Like I said, I burnish that, but I'm in a habit all the time of trimming. But let's just go ahead. Let me just get past myself and just go ahead and paint right onto that tape. Okay, let's see. Oh, you can't see it on YouTube. So, okay, it's going right onto the tape. Okay. But we burnished that edge. But I'm going to be careful because this edge is not burnished. And what I've learned, I don't know if you noticed on my sweatshirt that I'm wearing today, I have this color on my front because I was just painting one whole side, inside and the backs, the outside of it. And when I was reaching over, I was rubbing right into the wet paint. So this time, we're going to be a little more conscientious, and we're going to, all right, hold on, YouTube can't see. YouTube, we're going to bring you back a little bit. Oh, and there goes my dog barking. We're going to go up a little bit. There we go. Some animal must be on TV. He sits there and watches the TV for an animal to come on. And if it goes outdoors, he watches with more intensity because he now knows that the odds got really high that a bird, a squirrel, something is going to fly into the scene. When there's kids involved, he watches with more intensity because he knows. Now, even though I just mixed this color and it's not going to be exact, if I don't cover it all the way to the bottom, and if I wanted this to be a really, really good match, I would have put them together on a paper, dried the paint to see how close I am and make adjustments, add more of that teal color or add more of the fluff. But I want to do a good solid coat, and I'm getting really close to the edge, so I'm not worried about if it's not the exact same color. Although it looks like when it dries, it really is. It looks like it's really going to be the same color. Because, you know, your paints will dry a different color. That's what I like about, well, Dixie Belle used to have the spoons dipped into all their colors. So my booth has the spoons, but they no longer make them. So in the new colors, I don't have them. Because I haven't opened any of the new colors. You guys, I'm a painter and I can mix colors. So my paints on hand are limited. If I'm doing a specific color that I pulled off the shelf for someone, I have my leftovers of those. But as long as, you know, I've got my essential colors, I mix for a project, especially the craft projects when we're not really using a lot. Okay. So let me just finish this inside, and then we're going to peel this tape off. And I'll finish the outside later. Just work it into your corners best you can. Make sure you're always checking your other edges when you're working with different surfaces, okay, different planes of surfaces. Make sure you're always kind of, you don't have a buildup on your edges. Add a little more water. Water is your friend with the chalk style paints. If you're working with the silk paint, you can have like a damp brush, which I do feel like it helps, but you don't want to do what you can do with the chalk style paints. Okay, you don't really want to thin it with the water. All right, so like I said, I'm going to finish that later, but you get the idea. But we're going to pull the tape off. If I had paint onto my surface here, this is what I was going to talk about. Here it is. So I had this damp paper towel, or you can have a rag, but the paper towel is nice and tight. It's thinner than my t-shirt. And I would just take that edge, pull it right tight against my blade, and wipe it once. If I have to wipe it again, you got to move it, okay? Move it over a little bit. And then go and wipe it again. All right, just quick wipes. All right, so we're going to set this aside. It's such a big piece, it's hard to do on the videos. All right, and then we're going to seal this up, and I'll finish it up after, like I said. All right. And we got that on. The shells, so some of the shells we can put a coat of the slick stick on the other side, but like I said, we already did this in the video. I'm not going to worry about it now. There was something else. I have these other projects that are in my dead pile. So I have these shirts, and I wanted to stamp them. These, you know, like back in the, it was a couple years ago, everyone was bleaching the flannels and bleaching the shirts, and I started all that and just never got back to it. So I thought, you know, we got to get to these. They're fun to do. They're super fun to do. And I don't know, maybe I make some room and we do it. We'll do a little one at least tonight. I have bunches of things to do. I have that one. I have this duster. These are all kind of small sizes. I couldn't fit into these anymore. But this is like a duster with no sleeves. All right. And I bleached the bottom. This got a lot of bleach where I didn't bleach it as long on this black and white one. All right, so there's that. There is this one that it's mine and I use for painting in the summer. It's just nice and lightweight, but it, you know, it's tired, and it'd be something fun. You know, it's a little tunic, tank, uneven, you know, handkerchief bottom to it. And I thought, well, this will be fun to do something to it for myself. And then the jeans. So I have these that were in, you know, in my store. I just don't have any room in my booth. But this is just, I think it's drop cloth, okay, in the paint. Put into, you know, rolled onto the stamp and stamped on. And whenever you're working with fabric, you just want to make sure it doesn't have anything to prevent anything from sticking on there. So when you buy jeans or buy clothing, it usually has something called a sizing on there. And that's, you want to get that off. But when you wash it, don't put softener in your wash. Just dry them, just do your detergent, no softener, and then put them in the dryer, iron them flat, and then after you stamp them with the inks or your paints, whatever you're using, let it sit on there overnight. And then you can press set, heat set the inks or paints in there. So this one, do you see this pattern? Let's see if we can figure this out. Because it's just been so long. I think I was trying the decolorant on this. Do I have it here? I think it's in my other workroom here. It was called decolorant. And someone did it I think it works really good if you had those super dark jeans. I don't think these were dark enough. And maybe it's different, you know, fibers that it works well with. I did bleach, but it kind of came out fat, didn't really like, I don't know. And this didn't work as well. But I thought, you know, there's enough of it showing that I kind of got to follow the lines of it, all right? But if I can figure out how the stamp was, I might be able to work with that. So let's see, shall I do this or this? Let's do this or this. Let's not get all involved with that because I might have to get into more than I wanted to. All right, so let's get the paint, the water out of the way, the scrubby soap out of the way, my cleaner out of the way, right? All these things we don't need in the way, get them out. All right. I hope you all are having a great night or good day if you're watching on replay. Okay, and another thing you're going to want to have handy is something to protect your surface or your other side. So if this was a t-shirt that wasn't open, you want to slip. I like to use these little acetate sheets. Get some plastic wrap or parchment paper would work, I think. Something. If you put cardboard in, it better be cardstock because if you had the corrugated, it would show through the little lines of it. All right, so you protect behind where you're stamping. And let me get stamps out because I'm literally, you guys, I'm just tinkering here. I'm just tinkering, so this is just me doing my thing in my sandbox. So I have, if you don't know me from before, I was a retailer for Iron Orchid Designs. So they sell a lot of these DIY products. This is only one of 3 boxes, and I'm actually outgrowing these. So I need bigger. But they're, you know, decor-sized stamps. All right, there's grapes. There's wildflowers. That might be cute with some other little flowers on my white top. All right, we have farm animals. That might be fun. That might be fun. Oh, we got the bees and birds. We can do a wreath around it. We got butterflies. This one's always pretty. The Belle. All right, this one was on my wall at the store, the gray wall. You can make it like a wallpaper pattern. Who doesn't love a sunflower? And when I tell you these are large, they're super large. Like the one sunflower is like this big, okay? See my hand, it's way bigger than my hand. So those are really fun. This one's always good, so I might do something with this. It's the bee, it's queen bee, so I get the wreath and the bees and the crowns, right? That could be fun. All right, ferns and other leaves. Sometimes I cut them. This is what I think is on the jeans, so I'll keep that aside. All right, so bunches of options. Oh, there's this chrysanthemum one too. It could have been that. All right. Yeah, it's a hot mess. You can't really see, but there's chrysanthemums. And again, they're large scale. Here's branches and all sorts of things. This one has all sorts of like trimmings and framing, which I won't be using for this. All right. Let's see. And then I want to use ink. Now, I would normally say I would use my IOD ink because that's, you know, what I obviously have. But I also have leftover from our printer that we used to use for our transfers. we used to print our own transfers, so I know those inks should hold up. All right. And I know this has been clean because it's already been through the wash and everything. So let's just keep these stamps around. And if I want, I can put words or whatever. All right. We're just gonna play. Let's see. Let's just start with something. Let me get my ink supplies. Let me show you what I mean. So these are the IOD inks and the brayers. They have chalks, liquid chalks. Here's the inks. All right, these are the IOD. These are my inks that I used to use for my printer. Now I used to get them from Cobra Ink, and they used to sell specially recombobulated printers that way back before HP and Epson did it, they had tanks that you could refill. So I would buy their inks like this, and I use these syringes to fill them. So I have those inks I wouldn't mind using up. If I do those, I put a little bit on here with my brayer, like you're rolling paint on the wall. So let's go ahead and we're gonna just do that. We're gonna use them up. And if you're going to use inks and you don't want to get it all over your hands, I suggest wear gloves. I have them over there. I never wear them. I never do it. Okay, so what do we think, guys? I think we do a little bit of everything here. We do this bee and the crown and a wreath, and then maybe put a bird or a butterfly on the wreath. Could be fun. We really don't have anything too retro. Everything's more romantic with their designs. And these, of course, are only ones that I have. So you're going to say, well, how am I going to get these and make it a stamp that I can use on here? So what they do is they peel off. So I can make it however I want. So let's carefully get this out of the way. All right. So this is how this is going to work. We're going to make the wreath. We're going to get the bee. We can use a big one. And then, do we want a big crown or a small crown? Maybe the big crown to use up a lot of space here. All right, so we got that going on. And what can we put on the bottom? We can kind of extend it a little bit. So let's do this and maybe put this label on the bottom. And I don't have to worry about breaking these. These are stretchable forever. And then extend it some more by, I don't know, maybe these flowers coming up. Now, if I really wanted to be particular about it, I would go through all my stamps and really do a nice placement. But let's just start with that. All right, I have this. It barely fits, but if I do like that, I can do it. There's also ones that they sell. They're called thin mounts that are longer, and they have the grid lines, so you know if everything's straight. When you're doing lettering, it's really important for sure. But let's just leave it at that. And then now I'm going to have one big stamp. We're going to do this really quick because I think I'm going to run out of battery soon. So, oops, my ink started to want to roll off. Let's protect things and do it like that. And I'm going to take one of my brayers and I'm going to work this ink. These stamps, before I use them the first time, you want to sand them with that fine grit sandpaper like we talked about before. The fine grit would be like an 80 to 120. Well, not fine grit, but you know what I mean. 80 to 120, let's just say that. That's more of a medium to fine. I sand the whole stamp sheet. Before I took those off, when you first get them, you sand the whole thing, one direction and then the other direction. You want to give it a tooth, just like we were talking about for painting. Otherwise, they're so slick that this ink would like to roll right off. Okay, it just bubbles up over the details. All right, and since we're doing it on fabric, we want this to be actually pretty juicy. That would be a great amount for doing it on wood, but we want this pretty juicy because it's got to go into those fibers. This is harder to do with paint, especially if you're using the mineral paints, because you'd only want to do one at a time because it dries fast. This is ink though, so we have some work time. And anything that I get on the back side of the stamp, like the inner part, we don't want it on there, right? We just want the nice, pretty parts to show. Or if I get it on the backing like you're seeing there, we're going to wipe that off before I flip it over to stamp. So I'm going to add some more. We're going to get a lot of stamping done really quick because it's all one big stamp. But if you're looking for IOD, just go to their site. Iron Orchid Designs is the official name, and go under retailers. And I think they just have like a little link on the top that floats when you first go on the site to find a retailer. They only sell through retailers. There's a few that do sell on Etsy. And even if you see people that only list it as a store and not an online store, like and they're only listed as a brick and mortar store, then call them and make sure, because I'm sure that they will send an order out. All right. Although there's one gal here who doesn't have doesn't really ship, from what I can tell. All right, so I have some on my back, and I don't have any wipies, but if you have wipies around and you're stamping, they're always a good idea to have. And I'll give it like a quick wipe down, and then at the end of the night, like I'll wipe down the whole stamp, all my stamps that I've been working with. And then at the end of the night, they go into the sink with my scrubby soap, or if you have like dish soap and warm water and a scrubber, you do that. All right, so I think we're ready to go. I don't think we have any more messies. And we're going to flip this over. And we do want to kind of make sure that we've got center best we can, right? I think this looks pretty center here. All right. And again, I've got my plastic behind here, my acrylic, my acetate. And, oh, we got to move this up more. Uh-oh. 1 minute. One. And again, we want this nice and juicy for fabric. There's nothing on here for sizing or softeners. Okay. Now, once it's down, it doesn't move, okay? You don't want it to move. So you go around, you can take a brayer that doesn't have any ink on it, preferably. All right, and go around and give it an even press, especially with something so large. But if you don't have a spare one, or if you're using an ink pad, like I could have tapped the stamp with an ink pad carefully. You can just press it evenly best you can, but you don't want it to move. So you don't want to keep moving both your hands. You want to keep one staying down and pressing it so it doesn't slide, right? It doesn't move around. You don't want to press so hard that you get a distort, like it's squishing the stamp and distorting it. And if you get a part, oh look at this is actually upside down. Whoop-a-daisy. Too late now. We can kind of see how we're doing. We could probably use a little more here. I'm going to use a little more right here on the B. Let's see, that's looking good. I can't believe that's upside down. We'll do something. We'll do something over that. All right, I think we're going to lift it up. Look how cool that is. Isn't that pretty? And I'm just going to keep playing with it after. Maybe add a little something here, a little fleur, maybe from, what do you call it? It's right here. What did I do with the box right here? It's Reverie that has neat little things. This maybe I'll put on the duster. I didn't even open this one up yet, but that could be fun with the flowers and the rooster and the chicken. That was La Campagna. Where's Reverie? That one's a really pretty stamp. This is always a good one. It has the beautiful trims and things like that. All right, that's Bohemia. Where's Reverie? Big one is always the Rose Toile, if you're a toile person. What's this one? This one is Swags. It's got the birds, it's got rosettes, but I'm not feeling anything for the side there. Here's Reverie. So it has these cute little, small little filigrees that I might just fit in here somehow. And then we got to figure out my upside down label. Okay, well, oh well. No one's perfect, but we'll figure it out, you guys. We don't worry about these things. We just don't. All right, I've been a good hour, and I must say goodbye now. If you have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask. I am always available for all of you, and I'm always playing. And you know, I've been doing this 25 years as a business, so there is no such thing as a silly question. And if I don't happen to have the answer, I have people that do. So don't worry about it. Ask away. Again, it's seaporium.square.site. And hopefully I jump on tomorrow and maybe we'll play some more with this. I have other things I need to get done. And if it's at night, we can probably start playing with the shells. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate you. You have no idea. All right. And if you're ever on the Cape, go to Picket Fence in South Yarmouth. It's an amazing place, and all the paints and the bells and whistles, they're all there. The new bells and whistles, I have at least one available online, so if you're interested in those, grab that. They are so fun. I can't wait to play with them more. The water slides, super fun and easy. You will love them. All right, you guys, have a great night. Go play in your sandbox, and until I see you again, stay sassy. Bye.